Well, to continue our flood watch coverage this morning, it's time to check in with KHQA's Allison Brown, who is live in Fort Madison this morning.
We're going to go back up north where things are starting to fall. Good morning, Allison.
All right, last Thursday, we were live from this very spot, just a little bit of ways down the road. However, we cannot get there because there's several detours in place. As you can take a look, as you can see the road barriers here. Now, we can report that in this Iowa area that the river levels are going down according to the National Weather Service. As of 2 o'clock this morning, near Weaver, Iowa, on the Skunk River, there are minor flood levels at around 16 feet. At KHQA, they are still considered major flood levels with 21 feet. Coming up at the 6 o'clock hour, we will have officials from the Lee County Emergency Management Agency, and he will be here to talk about the river levels and what that means for the rest of the tri-states. Reporting live from Fort Madison, Allison Brown, KHQA News.
KHQA's Allison Brown with our flood watch coverage.
She is live in Fort Madison this morning. What's going on, Allison?
All right, so last week we were live from the Willow Patch at River Access, talking about the sandbagging efforts to keep the Mississippi from preventing any damage in Fort Madison. However, as you can see, there are several detour signs in place to prevent traffic from going down there. However, that's where the Iowa State Penitentiary is. As of right now, the river levels are going down here in Iowa, and they were up north near Weaver, Iowa. They are considered minor flood stages. They're about 16 feet as of 2 o'clock this morning, according to the National Weather Service. Now, down the river at KHQA, they are still considered major flood levels with 21 feet. Now, coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, we will talk to the Lee County Emergency Management Agency about the river levels and what that means for the tri-states. But as you can see, a lot of detours is going on right now because of all the flooding in this area. Again, we will have more on that coming up. Reporting live in Fort Madison, Allison Brown, KHQA News.
And as always, you can check KHQA.com to stay up to date with all the latest flood coverage. But now, to keep you updated on flood coverage out of Fort Madison, we are going to check in with KHQA's Allison Brown.
She is live this morning in Fort Madison where river levels are going down. Hey, Allison.
All right, now we are live here in Iowa, and joining me this morning is Steve Serena of the Lee County Emergency Management Agency. So, sir, what is going on with the Mississippi River right now?
Well, right now, Allison, the river is dropping, which is good for us. It's down about 1.5 feet, both in KHQA and Burlington from the highest crest that it had, but it's still high. We've got some rain coming in this weekend, so we have some concerns about that, but hopefully there won't be a lot of it. The system outside the river is not full at this point, so there's some room for absorption on that, so hopefully we don't get a whole lot.
Okay, so will that trend, because I do notice that, the levels are going down at the gauges near the Skunk River and in KHQA, will that trend continue downstream? Yes,
and we're hoping that it will be out of any kind of flood state sometime late next week. Once it drops back down below around 18 feet, then we're pretty much, at that point, we're kind of sort of out of the woods. We're right on the edge. But then once it gets below 15 feet, then it's back down to normal, and we can kind of breathe easy at that point. Okay, now I did hear, and we did mention that there will be some rain this weekend. Would that make a huge difference as to the current river levels? Well, right now the total for the weekend is looking like it's going to be around an inch or less. Spread out over 3 days, it should not be an issue to cause any kind of real rise in the river. It may level it out for a little bit, just like it did. Actually, this happened last weekend with the same type of situation. Okay, now as you just heard from Steve Serena of the Lee County Emergency Management Agency, that we are not out of the woods yet, but there is some good news on the horizon. Reporting live in Fort Madison, Allison Brown, KHQA News.
Now it's time to check in with KHQA's own Allison Brown.
She is doing our coverage of flood watch coverage this morning live from Fort Madison. Good morning, Allison.
All right, we are in the Willow Patch access area. Again, Kristen Greery was here just last week, and as you can see, there is still a lot of sandbags still trying to protect that area. Now, if you take a look just a little bit at this parking lot, there is a debris line just a few feet from us that cover this entire parking lot. Again, the Mississippi River still looks very high, but the good news is that it is going down about 20 minutes from here in Weaver, Iowa. They are in minor flood stage, and down in KHQA, they're still considered major. But again, all of the tri-states is still considered in a major flood stage. And then coming up this weekend, we are expected for some rain, but we don't know yet how that will affect the tri-states. But the good news is, again, the water is going down. And we did speak to Mr. Serena of the Lee County Emergency Management Agency, and he says, again, good news, water is going down, and that will continue downstream to other communities along the riverfront. Now, Coming up, we will have even more news about the riverfront and how it will affect the rest of the tri-states. Reporting live in Fort Madison, Allison Brown, KHQA News.